Alright, in this video I'll be talking about Alek Manoah trade rumors and let's see what happens here. Are we going to keep him? Are we going to trade him? Whatever. Well, let's see what happens. Well, looking at his numbers, Alek Manoah, it really changed drastically when the pitch clock was implemented. You look at his last 5 games in the bigs, he won 3 of them, but then against San Diego, that was his last game. People think he was turning the corner here. These outings right here, but it didn't really show. And you look at it here, you can't ignore his first 2 years, but again, you can't ignore his last year. His first year as a rookie, Alek Manoah, he had a 3.22 ERA, 111.2 pitches, 127 strikeouts. His hit batters are always high. His fielding independent pitching was 3.80. He was a solid rookie of the year. Candidate for pitching, number 8 in rookie of the year. And then 2022, this was a really great year for him. 16 wins, 7 losses, a 2.24 ERA, 31 games played, almost 200 innings pitched, 180 strikeouts. Again, hit by pitches high. A good FIP. Everything was good. 3rd in the Cy Young voting. If you had told me that today, why not? And then everything fell off. Okay, everything fell off. Alek Manoah gained weight. People said he was overweight coming into spring training. That's number 1. Number 2, he couldn't adjust to the pitch clock. His velocity went down, and this is why he struggled. They sent him down to the Florida Complex League. He came back, had a good game, had a rough game, and then a good game against Detroit. Had a few good games and just sucked. Alek Manoah, he didn't report to AAA, didn't want to go back to AAA, and now we're in this scenario in the offseason where the Blue Jays are content on trading him. In my opinion, I don't know if you want to trade him or not, again, because he's still young. He's 25 years old. I can't ignore the first 2 years, but again, you can't ignore the last year. He's showing progress. He's showing that he's working out. He's moving and all that. Every single time I see him on Instagram, there's a post of him working out, but it's all about the baseball mechanics. His velocity went down. He can barely throw 93 anymore. Last year was throwing 94, 95 possibly, his fastball and his slider. Now his slider's terrible, barely even goes in the zone, and his fastball is a slow velocity and terrible location. I think with Alek Manoah, he has to work on that in the offseason if we're keeping him. And if a team wants him, it's a young pitching prospect that if has a good developing facility and coaches, I think he can turn into not the Cy Young contender like he was in 2022, but half that, like what he did in his rookie year, a 3.22 ERA guy. Again, in his second year, he could go 200 innings. He could be a workhorse, but we'll see what happens going. Well, personally, I think Alek Manoah really needs to work on a lot this offseason. He has the facilities and all that. If he's going to be traded to a different team, I don't know, maybe the Cardinals are kind of interested. I don't think that'll happen because they're going off their old men and they don't want a young pitcher. I think, there's a lot of other pitching destinations like Cincinnati. They're willing to give up guys like Johnson, India. There's a lot of destinations who would like a young pitching piece in Alek Manoah, and I think the Jays would, if they make this move, which I don't think they should, but if they would make this move, Alek Manoah, it will sacrifice a little bit of depth at the rotation, but it will add most likely a impact bat, hopefully, if they get anything for him. I think he does have value because he's young, he has under control, and teams are willing. It's not really a project. The guy just needs to lose weight. He needs to adjust to the pitch clock and try to find what happened, wrong in 2023 and try to emulate the things that went right in 2021 and 2022 because it's the same fucking person. It's the same guy. He's not old. He's not washed. It's time. This is a make or break year for Alek Manoah on the Blue Jays or not because, he's a young man. Does he want to stay in baseball? Does he want to get paid? we'll wait and see. But those are the implications that he's dealt to himself. All right, looking at the Blue Jays starting rotation last year, the most innings was Chris Bassett. You know, everyone had an ERA below 4. You know, Kevin Godwin was a beast, our Cy Young contender. Jose Barrios had a resurgence and got fucking bullied in the fucking playoffs because we have a terrible manager. Chris Bassett had a career year. Yusei Kikuchi had a little resurgence there in the 4 hole. And Hyunjin fucking Ryu, a 52 inning burger, pitched 3.46 ERA. Fucking, the bullpen was amazing. Except Trevor Richards, he can go to hell. But the bullpen was amazing. Bowden Francis pitched some starting innings. Like, you know, I think the Jays would be fine. I think the Jays, if they trade Alek Manoah, if they do that, they'll be fine. Because the rotation was great without Alek Manoah. And it was hurting with Alek Manoah, you know. Alek Manoah needs to show better work ethic, man. You can't give up on your team. He did that in AAA. You know, he worked hard in the the complex, and they came back. He sucked, and then got demoted back to AAA. Didn't play. He needs to work hard this offseason because the Blue Jays rotation is pretty good. Even without Ryu, I think the Jays should go after a starter because Ricky Tiedemann, our top starting pitching prospect, he's young. He's like 21 years old or 20 years old. He's not like he can throw gas. He's a lefty. I think he'll be replacing Kikuchi next year or even this year. If anything goes wrong. But the Blue Jays do have to make minor additions to the rotation, in my opinion, just to make sure. I think if the Jays sign a starting pitcher early in the offseason, I think Manoah's done. If they do it later, I think Manoah's there, but he'll have a little competition and a little depth because the Blue Jays, who's their depth? Mitch White. Bowden Francis I like, but he is a number 5 guy, but he can't go 5 innings that much, so, you know, he can go at most 4 or 3. You know, he's more of a long guy at the bullpen, you know. So the Blue Jays do have to, this offseason, have to focus on, do they want to add another starting pitcher, a cheap option to the rotation, because you can't trust Alek Manoah if you bring him back, because you can't give him 100% lean way. Oh, this guy is automatically gonna improve right away and get back to where he was. So I don't know what they're gonna do. You know, the off season still is young. There's still a lot of free agents out there. Starting pitching obviously is not the number one priority for the Blue Jays. It's hitting obviously, but this has to do with Alek Manoah and the little hole that he's created, because it's not a big hole, because I think Alek Manoah could get back if he can have the innings that he had in his 2022 season and the numbers he had in his rookie season. That's perfect. I want him that. He needs to get the velocity back to 94 miles per hour. He needs to get the slider going. He needs to lose some weight, and he needs to get that pitch clock command together. And that's all I gotta say, guys. Peace. Go Blue Jays. Let's get some signings going. Let's get this offseason going. And that's it. My thoughts on Alek Manoah. I think we should keep him. Give him another year. If he sucks, that's the way it is. If it's not, I'd rather take the gamble by making him play than trade him right away, and then he becomes what he was back in 2021-22. I'm giving him a chance, you know, but he has to earn our trust back. He has to earn the trust of the front office, the fans, the players, his teammates, and he has to work fucking hard this offseason. It's showing that he's working out, and trying to get in shape. But the second phase is getting into baseball shape and working on his mechanics, his command, all that bullshit. So that's all I gotta say. Peace. Go Blue Jays.